Hello and welcome to our first director interview of the season. My name is Holger Seim. I'm the Director of Drama Studies at the University of Toronto, Mississauga, and I'm here with Anita Laselva, who is the director of our first production of the season, Revolt, she said, Revolt Again by Alice Birch, which is opening tomorrow, October 2nd, and will run through October 11th. Hello, Anita. Hello again. This is the third time in a row that you are directing the opening. Show. Is it the fourth time?
Yeah.
And yet again, it's a pretty political play.
Very political. Yep. Very intense. Very confrontational.
Yeah. Let me begin by, for the many people who will be watching this who probably don't know the play, Alice Birch's play is sort of, it has acts, formally they're called acts, but it is a very open text. Right? And for most of it, there aren't really characters.
No one is named. There are no characters with names. She just does dashes when different people are meant to speak. So that gives a lot of creative license to the team, to the director.
Yeah, and it's sort of even unclear, I suppose you can make sort of decisions, except in some of the scenes it's clear what the genders are.
Yeah, and some of them are named. And there's one scene where they are named specifically, but the rest is very open.
Yeah, and she insists that it shouldn't require a set and it shouldn't require props, and the only premise is that it has to be a badly behaved play.
Yes.
So what do you do with a play like that?
What do you do with a play like that? Well, I think for me, this play is so embedded in the radical feminist tradition. And I think that's what she wanted. And you know, if you look at the radical feminist tradition, it breaks all the rules of the well-made play, of traditional theater. So she's approached this play from that perspective, from very much a collective perspective, from an idea of sequences and vignettes, and also a direct address to the audience, which is wonderful, because a lot of feminist theater took from Brechtian philosophy of epic theater and alienation, and really wanted to bring the political in and show it through vignettes, just like Brecht did, like we did last year with the Threepenny Opera, where the characters would sort of break out of a scene and talk to the audience, and some messages were directly meant to provoke the audience, to get them thinking, to reveal different things, and then they'd go back into the scene. So Alice really worked on that premise of using that alienation effect where you wanted the audience to be very much involved. And so I think this play, she gave it so much width and breadth for interpretation, because that is very much inherent in the feminist tradition. I've done a lot of feminist theater over the years, and a lot of it is based on devised work, collective creation, different interpretations, no one single way of doing things, and no one dictating you have to do the play like this.
Right.
So, which is wonderful for a director, because it allows the director to really bring their own creativity and, of course, their own feminist bias into the piece, as I have done. So that's very exciting to me.
Now, so it's interesting to me because I completely agree with that description of the play. At the same time, as a text, it often reads to me as actually quite rigorous in its form. So on the one hand, it's super open-ended, but on the other hand, like it spells out every stammer.
Yes.
Like
her message.
Change, like that's it's chocolate. Chocolate. And so, and I was wondering, like, is that something that, as a director, that you felt, okay, so it's open-ended on the one hand, and on the other hand, there are all these verbal cues that we have to take literally, or did you carry that sort of open-endedness into the treatment of the text?
Interestingly, I sort of hearkened it to Shakespeare, in the sense that Shakespeare gives us clues in his text, with his capitals, with his long spellings, with his different breaking of the iambic, and I think that's what Alice is doing. When she is showing us those text sort of demarcations, she's indicating where she feels the characters are at emotionally. So I took all of those clues, and I really worked the scenes with those clues and had the actors be very rigorous in one sense. So I think that's a bit of a thing that people mistake feminist theater for being just loosey-goosey, and it's not, right? It's not. It is actually very rigorous, and it's actually quite difficult, because if you know traditional theater, if you're directing traditional theater, you have a script, you have a basic staging, but if you're directing non-traditional theater, or if you're devising is so much harder.
Right.
So much more difficult as a director to interpret and to create. You have to use all of your senses, all of your creativity. You got to bring stuff every day. You can't rely on the text to say, oh, well, now we're in this bedroom, so we're going to stage it here. Oh, now someone comes through the door, so we'll stage it this way. So you don't have that.
Yeah.
So Alice is very rigorous with her text, but loose in terms of her interpretation as to where you want to put it, how you want to stage it, where you want it to go, what the environment is.
Yeah.
So, which I think is to me, that's feminist theater at its best, because it doesn't have, I think sometimes it gets a bad reputation for just being very loosey-goosey and very collective creation, very touchy-feely, which some of it has been, but it's not. And a lot of the feminist theater that I've done has been very rigorous, but also very open creatively.
Right. Yeah, there is a funny, I mean, the thing that really struck me in rereading it was the, how often, in the few moments where she has stage directions, that they're often phrased in potentiality, right? Like when she says, like, perhaps this feels like the actor rather than the character speaking,
yes.
whatever, which strikes me as a sort of really, well, a kind of a striking invitation, right? To say, like, just perhaps, or maybe not, up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you, because I think for me, because I've directed Brecht before, and I really like that sort of direct audience address. You can choose to really lean into that or not.
Oh, so that's, okay, so that's how you read this. So if it's the actor speaking, it would be more like breaking out of character rather than, okay, interesting.
But again, that could be open to interpretation, because that's a style that I'm familiar with, is being in and being able to break out and come back in again. I encourage my actors to do just that.
Oh, that is so interesting, because that is not at all, like, to me, like when I was reading, to me, I thought, okay, so this we're sort of in breakdown territory. Where someone can't sustain the performance anymore. But it didn't even occur to me that what that might mean performatively is allowing the audience in.
Yeah, and the actor to share with the audience. This is hard, or the actor playing the character. So we're in pure Brecht territory here. In one sense, is that the actor playing the character, no, the performer playing the actor who's playing the character, right? So that's why you have that, and that's so that it's the actor who's playing the character that shares with the audience how difficult this kind of scene is. Because whenever that happens, that breakdown happens, it's always in a place in the script that is very difficult emotionally, or very controversial, or there's no cut and dried answer to that. And they're trying to work something through. And I think that's also Alice's way of inviting us to really think it through for ourselves.
Right.
And not just giving us something on a plate and say, oh yeah, whatever, right?
As performers rather than as audience. I mean, the audience too, surely, but
both.
But that it's an intellectual engagement for everyone, not just an emotional. But
both intellectual and emotional.
It's a very. I do want to talk about the set, because it's amazing. But before we do that, I do want to ask you about humor, because I was sitting in my office earlier, giggling reading it out, because it is on the one hand a very hard-hitting play, right? I mean, it gets quite dark. But it is also extremely funny. And often like turning on a dime. So what do you, and very funny about pretty dark things. What do you, I mean, A, what do you make of that, and B, how did you navigate that?
Well, I love it, because I think that sometimes when we're dealing with difficult topics and difficult situations, sometimes humor is a good way of keeping us present and allowing us to digest it. And also, I feel like there's a lot of, like, she's ridiculing a lot of our behavior as people in general. And I think if like the ridicule is there, but it's in a humorous and a fun way. And so we can laugh at ourselves and laugh at these characters, but then oftentimes we'll laugh and then afterwards we'll kind of feel a bit like, oh yeah, kind of, that's not really, oh wow. You know, so I think it's meant to unsettle us. Like the laughter is meant to both keep us engaged and allow us outlets, allow us to blow off some steam while we're watching this piece,
Right.
and also to allow us to reflect on our own behavior, and like keep us in the reality of what we're doing. And sometimes you can have a scene that is uncomfortable, but it's funny.
Right.
But we're also laughing at our own discomfort at thinking those thoughts.
Right.
That the characters are speaking, right? So I think that's what she's inviting us to do, and that's both the characters, because you'll see we have 4 women and 1 male performer, or 4 female presenting performers, 1 male presenting performer, and there are certain scenes that I've chosen to cast with a male performer, and you'll see that some of those lines are very much slightly ridiculing men, but also quite funny in terms of allowing us to recognize certain traits and certain kind of attitudes and certain biases that are inherently there, and certain cliches that get said in society regarding men towards women. And then also we look at women and women too, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, I am sort of. I mean, I don't want you to tell me anything, because like there's some scenes. Well, there's the whole scene between the boss and the employee.
Yes.
I can see that cast with a man and a woman,
right.
or with 2 women and
it depends on
someone inhabiting.
it depends on how you want to cast it as a director. I won't tell you.
You
can wait and see. But it depends how so very much you could cast it, and you could cast the scenes in very different ways, except maybe the first scene.
But I think the first scene would be
scene
pretty hard
the first
to
scene
do without a man.
Kind of needs to be male and female, and you will see why when you see the show. But the other scenes could go in different ways.
There's a kind of hard and fast biological factor in that scene that I think.
Yes, there is.
As it were. Let's talk about the set.
Okay.
Since we're sort of sitting here, this is not visible on camera except for these and this plinth. But you have essentially, I think I can spoil this because people will see it the moment they enter the theater. You and the design team have essentially turned our theater into a fairly large black box gallery space.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the audience will sort of walk around.
Yeah, that's the idea. We've set it up as an art gallery.
Yes.
So this was kind of came about from my conversations with our designer Leslie Wright, who's brilliant, who I've worked with many times here at Theatre Arundel, and I wanted to do an unconventional setting for this. So I was thinking maybe I'll do it like alleyway or maybe something different. I didn't want to do it proscenium. I wanted to have audience on different sides. And then Leslie came to me and she says, "What about doing it in the round?" And I said, "Okay." And then I started thinking about that. And then I went to, so I started with the alleyway. She came in with what about the round? And then I said, what about doing it kind of like it's a performance art in the round, like it's an art gallery? So she was like, "Oh, that's a cool idea." So then she suggested that we actually go to this wonderful new Canadian Contemporary Museum of Art over on Sterling Avenue downtown, which I had never been to, but it's this gorgeous, huge building that is, south of Bloor, off of Dundas, and it's stunning.
Yeah.
And it's when we went in there, and we went to the first floor, and it was kind of interesting, some art. And then we got up to the second or third floor, and the minute we walked in, I went, "This is it." And she was like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "This is it." So we spent an afternoon in the art gallery. We walked around, we looked at the different things, and there were projection things, and there were different flats that were up that you could walk around and see something. There were benches in the middle where you could sit and look at the art from different perspectives. So I said, "This is what we have to do," and she's like, "This is what we have to do." So then we started conceiving the piece as an art gallery. And so she went to work on the design and the different elements that she wanted to put in the gallery, and I went to work on how would I stage it, how would I stage this in this gallery. And then of course Mike Slater came in with his lighting and said, "I'm going to light this like a gallery." And so we all worked as a team to then create this immersive experience where you walk in and you are in the art gallery, and the performers are part of the art that you are observing and witnessing.
This is very cool. It is funny because it sort of turns the space. I mean, it almost makes it sound site-specific, right? Because you sort of went to an actual site, and then you're replicating it here.
It's immersive theater, so you could call it site-specific because we created this. We turned the theater into an art gallery.
Yeah.
And there are pieces of art in the gallery.
Right. Yes. Yes. I can't wait for people to see the pieces of art that are just over there.
Yes, and more pieces emerge.
They are utterly hilarious. And that one over there too. So there's this is. This sort of feels like it is a complete transformation of the entire space.
And that's what we wanted. We wanted to do a complete transformation. We wanted to do it in a non-traditional setting.
Right.
Not a traditional, not that we wanted to break everything that had to do with traditional patriarchal theater, I guess you could call it. So we broke all the rules in terms of where it is, and it's immersive. Audiences can walk around. They can walk around during the show, during a scene. They can sit, they can stand. If they need to exit, they can exit and come back in. Like it's very, very fluid.
Cool, but the show, the text still sort of runs from beginning to end.
Yes,
like there's
absolutely.
not a loop or something.
No, there's not a loop.
Yeah.
No, text runs straight through. There are different things on a loop, like some video and stuff that you'll see. And different transitions that we do. So yeah.
Okay, I have one more. I do have one more question,
okay.
and then I think we can wrap up. So we've sort of talked about sort of a fairly improvisatory process and the looseness of the text, and also the quite experimental nature of the play. What I find really interesting about Alice Birch, though, as a writer, is that's one thing she does. But then she's also been a showrunner on Succession, and she writes these, and she works in this really quite very realist, if also very well written, and also often sort of quite darkly funny.
Patriarchal
well, yes,
structure.
she's obviously interested in the patriarchy, right? But those still strike me as quite different things. Like Revolt, you said, does not read to me like anything like a script for a TV show.
No.
But then again, what you said a minute ago when you talked about the text work you did, and you talked about objectives and so on. So clearly this is a text that is actually approachable from a sort of psychologically realist
Absolutely. Like you will see the scenes, on paper, they look just like, oh, who's saying what's going on? But when you actually break them down and you look at the scenes, they are loaded. They are loaded with ideology.
Yeah.
They're loaded with personal relationship and emotional relationship. They're loaded with inner conflict. She's putting it out there as this is what's going to need to happen if we are really going to change things. So think about that. So it's very provocative. Her last few words.
Yes, in the play. But there are other moments in the play where I feel like that, like it's that bit is so that position is so tongue in cheek.
Yes.
Like that one scene in the second act, I guess, which is called, what is it called? Getting Rid of Men or something?
No.
Like the scene where the entire scene is like man enters.
Yes, man.
The mother says like go away, man exits.
Yeah, that little one in the family scene. Yeah.
Which seems like it's obviously a joke partly on the idea of getting rid of men, right?
Yes,
that you do it as a sort of theatrical act.
Yes, exactly. So she puts it out there and says, this might be the solution. Not that it's really going to happen, but but just again, what I love about her is that she plays with ideology, right? And she challenges it in different ways, and she pokes fun at it, and then she slaps it down, and then she finds holes, she finds cracks in it, and it's really wonderful how she can balance ideology and emotions at the same time. She can look at really. There's one scene that's quite lovely and quite human. Not human, but very quite poignant. But she's also really talking about how ideology can mess us up as people too.
Yeah.
When we are too convicted,
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, and it happens in a couple of scenes, So you'll see.
Yeah, I actually think it happens fairly consistently.
It happens in everything.
Yeah.
In all the scenes, really. In theory, it happens in all the scenes. So yeah. Very exciting.
All right. Well, I can't wait. I mean, actually, with most of our plays, I have some sense of what this might look like on stage. And then it doesn't necessarily, but I have some idea. With this, I really don't. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I love the text, but I really don't know what this looks like as a performance.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what you and the team and the students have come up with.
Yeah. I can't wait for audiences to experience it. And I say experience because it is an experience. So looking forward to that.
Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you, Holger.
And it would be great to see many of you here, starting tomorrow, October 2nd, and running through October 11th. Tickets are available now.